Good evening, good day, good afternoon, whatever time it may be that you are tuning in and watching and listening to The Lifeline. I am excited that you are here. I am so glad that you have taken the time to live life. I'm so glad that you're taking the time to live in freedom every day. And you know what else is so exciting? That it is not just this moment. Every day you are living in freedom. I'm just here to encourage you to keep on living. I am here to encourage you to keep on going. Keep on living on top of the world. I am Dr. Kimberly Nelms Smarr. I am so excited to be with you today. I am so excited to share with you because each week when we get together, there's a little bit more of a nugget of a tool to help you know what to do when life happens. If you're a churchgoer, or if you're a Bible reader, you have probably heard the scripture in Deuteronomy that says, you are the head and not the tail. You are above only and not beneath. Well, if you've been saying it, it's time for you to live it. Why are we saying it and not living it? Why is it written for you to speak it and not live it? I want you to live what you're speaking. And that's what the Lifeline is all about. I'm here every week to resuscitate you. You know how when someone needs to be rushed to the hospital, if you don't have time to get them to the hospital and you have to perform CPR at that moment, because if it's not performed, death or life is in your hand. Oh, that's what I'm here for. Because some of you're barely breathing. You're barely making it. You feel like you're at the end of your rope. You feel like this is it. Dr. Kimberly, I can't go any further. Well, I am here to resuscitate you, resurrect you, put you back on top of the world, put you back to where you need to be, put you back to where you were created to be. And that's living on top. Living the head, living as not the tail, but living above only and not beneath. Oh, you probably can feel it already. I'm excited to be with you. Why? Because I hear back from you. I hear that you are being blessed, which means you are being fortunate. You are being favored. You are being prospered, not just money prospered. You are being emotionally prospered. You're being mentally prospered. You're being prospered in your entire life through this Lifeline. And that is my goal. My husband and I, we got together because we knew we had been through some things and we know we're not the only one. And the key to going through is to remind yourself that you are going through this not only for you, but for someone else, that when you get through it, you can turn back and help somebody else get through the same thing. So we have come through life's issues, my husband and I. We've been faced with so many things in our lives that we are now coming back, Pastor Maurice Smarr and myself, Dr. Kimberly Smarr, so we can help you make it through the same things, the same situations, or whatever you may be going through. I know you're going through it, and I know you feel like giving up. I know you felt like, I just can't take another moment. But yes, you can. I am here to encourage you, to pull you through, and to help you see the end of the tunnel. There's a light at the end of the tunnel, and I'm here to help you get there. Yes, I am. So I'm not more than just quoting scriptures. We're not more than just giving you tools. But yes, we want to help you make it through life. Every day. We want to help you make it through sicknesses that you go through. We want to help you make it through the times when you go through divorce. We want to help you make it to the times when you're single and you feel like you just can't make it. Those are the things that happen in our lives. Life happens. Yes, it does. And it's not going to stop happening. But instead of condemning you, how some people can do, instead of condemning you and making you feel bad about your temptations, about your loneliness, about your sadness, we give you tools to help you make it through life. Not to condemn you, not to put you down, not to make you feel bad, but to give you the tools to help you make it through life, living in freedom every day. So we are grateful that you've taken this time to be enriched, to be empowered. This week, we're talking about something even more powerful. We've been talking about so many different issues that deal with our lives. We've talked about unforgiveness and forgiveness. Oh, and the list goes on. Tonight, we're going to talk about what to do when loss happens. Not L-O-S-T, lost, but when loss, L-O-S-S, happens in our life. So let me first tell you the difference between lost, L-O-S-T, and loss, L-O-S-S. Now, we go through loss probably every day, L-O-S-T. I'm not going to say any names, but I know someone who always loses their keys. The keys get lost. You know somebody like that? I've lost my purse. I've lost my wallet. I've lost my cell phone. And you know how we are with cell phones. Everything is in your cell phone. So do you know someone like that? It seems like everything they have is always lost. They can't find it. Well, that's L-O-S-T. When something has been misplaced, when something is missing, when something seems like you just can't find it. That's lost. When you're unable to find something, or maybe someone is missing. But that's lost. L-O-S-T. I want to tell you about L-O-S-S. Loss. What is loss, Dr. Kimberly? Well, loss is that defeat. It's failure. It's being behind. It's being held up. It's being set back. Loss, L-O-S-S. It's when something has been taken from you. Now, lost is when you've misplaced it. But loss is when something has been taken from you. As in bereavement, you feel like not lost, because people can say, I'm sorry about your loss. Well, we know they're not lost, but there is a loss, a bereavement, a grieving that you can go through when someone has passed on that's close to you in your life. Loss, when there's been a separation, when there's something or someone who is very important to you is no longer there. That's loss. When someone or something has been removed from your life, something or someone has been withheld from your life, it's the place of defeat. That's loss. L-O-S-S. We can experience loss in many ways. We can experience loss through occupation, being laid off, being fired, being downsized. If you're a business owner, maybe your clientele is decreased or the business closed down. Loss in our occupation. You can experience loss in your family, a divorce, a separation, a death. What else? We can experience loss in our income. Income has dropped. I just told you, loss of occupation. So now your income is affected. A loss in your income, a loss in ministry. If you're a minister or pastor watching now, and it seems like there's been a loss, a lack, a taken away, a decrease, a failure, a setback, a hold up within your ministry, seems like the membership is declining and your vision is not realizing. A loss. Also, we can experience a loss in relationships. Severed relationships. You thought you would be together forever, and now it's just you, alone and lonely. A loss. You can ask yourself, am I the only one experiencing a loss? Or am I the only one who has experienced a loss? No, you're not. I want to tell you about somebody. Whoo! I'm telling you, this person here experienced so much loss. In one day, it would appear that this person would have taken his life in his own hands and just committed suicide and had given up on life. I'm going to tell you about this person. Now, you've heard some of my story of the losses I have gone through, but I want to give you someone who's been documented. This is in the Old Testament, if you're a Bible reader. The King James Version is where I'm going to come from for you, and also the New International Version. But if you're a Bible reader, you know in the Old Testament, there's a book of a man named Job. Now, I said his name. You probably already know what I'm about to say about Job. In one day, here's a man who had experienced loss in his entire life. Now, this is a man who was blameless. He was upright. He was fearful of God. Not scared, but honoring of God. He shunned evil, all he knew. That's what the Bible says in Old Testament, the book of Job. He prayed for his children constantly. So do you see the character of this man, Job? He prayed for his children. He honored God. He was upright. He was blameless. He was a worshiper. He recognized God in every area of his life. And it also says in the book of Job that he was the greatest of all people in the East. So here it is, a man who is the greatest, yes, who also experienced loss, Loss. Now, I told you it happened in one day for this man. Oh, yes, it happened. In one day, Job experienced loss in 4 areas of his life. The first area dealt with occupation. Now you can read it, but I'm just going to hit on it. Job chapter 1, verses 14 through 19. The first area was occupation. There was a messenger that came to Job and said, Job, your oxen were plowing. That's work, their occupation, their means of work and job and career. Your oxen were plowing with the donkeys, feeding beside them when the Sabaeans raided us. They stole all the animals and killed all the farmhands. Have you been there where it seems like you had a loss in your occupation? You went to work that day with a smile on your face. You had your lunch money ready. And you get into the office and they make an announcement and say the job is over. We're downsizing. We're having a corporate layoff. We've been bought by someone else. The name is changing and the staff is changing. The corporate structure is changing. A loss in one day of your occupation. Also, now listen, the scripture says, while this servant was talking to Job, another servant, while the first servant is talking, another servant pops up and says, Job, something else has happened. The fire of God has fallen from heaven and burned up your sheep and all your shepherds. Now, sheep in the Old Testament, they represented, that was their source of food, of clothing, and economic wealth. So here's the second area of loss for Job, in the area of wealth. Now, you may be a business owner and you feel like that, just like how Job. Can any more bad news come for your business? Clientele is declining. The sales are decreasing. Advertisement, I don't have enough funds to advertise. It seems like it's not working for my business. Maybe I should shut the door, close it, put it up for sale, for lease. Let it just go into foreclosure because I can't even pay my monthly landlord for my occupation, for my wealth, for my business. Loss. There was a third area where Job experienced loss. While the first servant was talking, remember, the second servant comes and brings bad news. Now, while they're talking, a third servant comes and brings some news. The servant says, this is verse 17, 3 bands of Chaldean raiders have stolen your camels. Now, camels were used for sources of transportation in the Old Testament. So here it is. I've lost occupation through the oxen. I'm being affected through wealth. This is Job, by the sheep being taken. And now here, my camels, my source of transportation, I'm having a loss. Have you been there? The only vehicle that you have is now broken down. You on the way to work in a flat tire, and the spare tire is still not working, so you can't replace that. You can't get your car started. The battery's not working, the alternator not working, transmission not working, air not working. The only vehicle you have, the only source of transportation, and it seems like you're going through a loss. Occupation, wealth, transportation. The fourth area in one day that Job experienced loss was family. While the first servant was speaking, remember, the second servant came and he had a message. Then the third servant came while the rest of them was speaking. Now all 3 are speaking, and here comes a fourth one with another message. How much more could you take? This fourth one comes and says, your sons and your daughters were feasting, And suddenly a powerful wind swept in from the wilderness and hit the house on all sides. The house collapsed, and listen, all your children are dead. What else can happen? The money, the wealth, transportation, and now you're telling me there's a loss in my family? You had a good day, right? You got home and the spouse, your mate, your partner says, I have some news to tell you. It's over. The family has been lost, experiencing a loss. You get home and you get the news that a loved one has passed away. I don't care if you were prepared for it or you were not. I'm telling you, having someone to pass away in your life is still going to be a loss to you. LOSS, a loss, a bereavement. So here it is that in one day, Job experienced 4 areas in his life where he's had a loss. Have you had a loss in your life? And if that is not it, to top it all off, his health. He had a loss in his health. It says in Job 2:7, Job was afflicted with painful sores from the soles of his feet to the crown of his head. Have you been there? When it comes to loss, a loss of your health, you went to the doctor for a checkup. You went for your annual checkup, ladies, and you got some news that there are some cancerous tumors that they have detected. You got some news that there is a virus that we detect within your body. And don't let it be something that has not been discovered before. Huh? Have you been at that place where there was a loss in your health? You thought all was well. You exercise, you eat right, you go to the doctor, and yet there's news that there's a loss, LOSS, in your health. Is anything else can happen? Is there anything else that can happen? Have you ever asked yourself that? Because when you've experienced loss, it makes you feel like despair. It can make you feel like you're forsaken. It can make you feel like you are in distress. When you've experienced loss, a setback, a holdup, a withholding, a taking away of something or someone, it can make you feel like you're stripped to the core. Nothing else you have. It's just me bare to the bones. I'm here to resuscitate you right now. You're going to live through this loss. You will live. You hear me? You will live. Say that. I will live through this loss. Yes, you will. And when you're going through a loss, you can also feel like, I just said it. You can't go on. You can ask yourself questions. Did I do something wrong? Did I miss something? Did I not do something that I was supposed to do? Did I do it, but I didn't do it right? What is going on? Am I being punished? Why all of this loss is going on in my life? Maybe if I would have prayed more. Maybe if I would have gone to church more. Maybe if I would have loved more. Maybe if I would have done more. Maybe if I would have worked more. Why me, God? Why have I been chosen to go through loss? Seems like I'm always the one on the losing team. Seems like I'm the one that's always without. Seems like I'm always the one who is losing. Why all of this loss? Tonight's topic, what to do when loss happens. You may ask yourself, I'm going to ask you. I'm going to ask you. Dr. Kimberly said it. I'm going to ask you. What do you gain from losing? There's something to gain. Do you gain anything from losing? Yes. Philippians 3, verse 7 and verse 8. It gives you the answer. It says, whatever were gains to me, I now consider loss. I'm going to say that again. I want you to feel that within your soul, your mind, your spirit. Whatever were gains to me, I now consider it loss. I have lost everything, and I consider it all garbage so that I may gain. Now listen, Philippians tells you what you are gaining in the loss. So I can gain Christ. What does that mean? A spiritual relationship, not religion. That's not what I'm here to talk about, and doctrine and dogmas and rules and do's and don'ts and cans and can'ts. That's not what you're gaining. Through this, you are to gain a relationship. not religionship, a relationship with the Lord. There's nothing else left, God. Everything else has been taken from me. Transportation, occupation, wealth, family, health. All I got is me to give to you, Lord. That's all I have left. What else are you to gain through your loss? Spiritual knowledge, insight, and wisdom. Which is the way, God, that you want to direct me through this situation? Some situations I've been making my own decisions and I've gotten myself trapped up into things and to people who are pulling me down. So what is the lesson you want to teach me? What is the wisdom that I am to gain in this loss? What else are you to gain through a loss? The power of resurrection. Now I'm coming from Philippians 3:8. So if you're a Bible reader, you know I'm quoting right. Philippians 3:8. What else are you to gain in your loss? You are to gain the power of resurrection. What does that mean? The ability to get back up again. Yes, you can get back up. You can be restored during this loss. Look at me when I'm telling you. You can be restored even though you're going through a loss. What else are you to gain during your loss? Tenderness and humility. It's something about when you're broken down to your core, you start to recognize people that you probably looked over. You start to be acquainted with the griefs of people that you probably thought were beneath you. You probably thought, oh, I've never been through that, and that's beneath me, and I've never been homeless, or I've never been without. Everything has always been supplied to me. But when you've been stripped down to your core, you will have a tenderness and a humility to be acquainted with those who may not have or had what you have or had. What else are you to gain in loss? Confirmation, which means you're taking on a new image. Since I'm stripped down to my core, God, remake me, build me up into the image that you want me to be. Attainment is also what you are to gain when you're going through a loss. The ability to achieve now the right goal. What is the goal? What is the goal, God? You seek him. He'll tell you. What is the goal you are to attain during this loss? Sometimes you got to have people removed from you. You got to have a loss sometimes in order for you to gain. Some people need to be removed from your life so you can reach. They need to be removed so you can reach your goal. There's some people in your life you need to lose them so that you can gain. There's some people in your life you need to let go so you can grow. They're probably holding you back, holding you down, keeping you from going forward. That's when loss is necessary. Say, my loss is necessary. Your loss can be your gain. Your loss is necessary. I have some VIPs for you. You know, every week I give you some VIPs, very important points. When all has been lost, all you have is God. I like that one. When all has been lost, all you have is God. Isn't that something how he'll get you to that place where all you can do is look up and look within, because that's all you got left. So when all is lost, all you have is God. When all is lost, you realize what's important. You thought the car was important. You thought the nice clothes were important. You thought the 6-bedroom, 4-bathroom home with 3-car garage was important. You thought having the finest of clothes and having a scheduled appointment each week for your nails and for your hair and for your haircuts, boys and men. You thought having all of that was your gain. But I tell you what, when all has been lost, you realize what's important. Ask those who've been affected with hurricanes and tornadoes. They'll tell you, you better realize what's really important. When all has been lost, there's still you. You survived it. You survived the loss. You should get happy right there. You survived the loss. Let me go back to Job. I'm going to hit it right quick for you. Although these servants came to Job, now listen, how did they survive the tornado? How did they survive the fire? They said it. They said, Job, do the oxen and the donkeys, although they were stolen, this is what it says, Job 1 and 15, I am the only one who survived to tell you. Woo, I get excited about that. You may be going through loss, but you know what? You're probably the only one who survived it, so you can tell somebody else about it. My God, today. He says, now when the loss happened with Job's sheep, remember we talked about the well. The servant said, I'm the only one who escaped to tell you about it. When Job's camels, his transportation, he had a loss in that area. The servant says, I'm the only one who escaped and survived to tell you about this, Job. When Job's children were killed, the family situation, the servant says, I'm the only one who has survived. You probably see me jumping up and down in my chair. I'm the only one who has survived to tell you about it, Job. You thought you were going to die through your loss, but you survived it. You survived it so you can come back and tell somebody else. Everybody who went through what you went through didn't make it through. Everybody who is going through what you're going through didn't make it through. Everybody who's going through what you've been through still ain't made it through. Yes, I said it, still ain't made it through. So you have survived when you thought you would have died. You have survived when you wanted to die. You have survived when you tried to die. You survived your loss. Even in the loss, you survived. You may have experienced loss, but you survived. You may have experienced grief, but you survived. You may have experienced setback and hold up, but you survived. You may have experienced failure, but you survived. And if you survive, that means you can resurrect. If you've survived, that means you can get back up again. If you have survived, that means you can be restored. All that's been lost, every experience of loss can be restored into your life. Yes. Say it can, and it will. It shall come back to you. It can, it will, it shall come back to you. So what to do when loss happens? That's been our topic for tonight. I don't know if it's touched you, but it has touched me. Yes, it has. What to do when loss happens. Now, you know, each week I give you a what to do list. So this is what I want you to work on this week until we speak again next week. There were two things that Job did when he experienced loss. One, he worshiped. And two, he maintained his integrity. I want you to do the same thing. One, worship. In the midst of your loss, you ain't got nothing anyway. It's all gone now. So it's just you. Worship. Fall down like Job. It said he fell to the ground and worshiped. So in the midst of his loss, he recognized God. That's worship. When you recognize God in your situation, when you recognize his power in your situation, when you recognize his goodness in your loss, worship. The second thing I want you to do this week is maintain your integrity. Through all of his loss, Job didn't curse God. He didn't curse his friends. He didn't curse the situation. He didn't cuss, and he didn't curse. He didn't cuss nobody out, and he didn't curse God. Maintained integrity. That means his character stayed consistent. That means he had unimpaired condition, judgment, a sense of going through his loss. I want you to do that this week. Maintain your integrity. Worship God. You may have experienced loss. Your family, divorce, separation, children, job, transportation, health. It doesn't matter. You may have gone through loss, but you survived. And if you survived, you can get back up. I'm so glad you're with me. I'm going to talk to you again on next week. Until then, worship God and maintain your integrity. This is Dr. Kimberly, and you have been here with me on the Lifeline. Keep living in freedom every day.